Thank you everybody for coming. Welcome to my home. Well, let me just start by saying that what I want to talk about tonight is my relationship with art and how my life affects my work. And to illustrate that for you, I want to talk about very specific exhibitions that are clearly affected by my everyday happenings. The first of which is Heart and the Gutting. I wanted to get this one over with because it was my most heartbreaking exhibition, and this was in 2007. So 2007 to 2009 was quite a tumultuous time in my life. And my marriage was, coming to an end. It was a very difficult point. Everything seemed to be falling apart. So to cope with this, I figured I needed an escape. I needed an everyday reason to get out of bed and create and help me through the time, whenever it was. Like, I didn't know how long this was going to last. But I also happened to have booked the Sultan Gallery, which I always do this. I book the gallery before I create the work. It just pressures me to work. So I had the gallery for January, and this was in June. So I decided that I wanted to create a lunchbox for my imaginary friend, Thomas. I created this friend, Thomas, in college. I was 22 years old, and I needed someone that I could write to who didn't talk back, who didn't give me advice, because a lot of times people give you advice and it ends up just being annoying. It's not, it's not advice that can really help you. So started writing these notes, and every lunchbox would have a note inside it to Thomas, and a relic or a found object, or, sorry, this is distracting, all right, never mind. So every lunchbox would have a note and would have either a piece of work that I've created or something I found. There's, one of the bags has a dead fly in it, or like I said, just something that I'd found or created myself. So just to give you an example, this is the bag right here. And this is the note for January 2nd, right there. And this is a picture of someone saying bird. So I saw these, I took them out today, actually. We're all sort of looking at all our old stuff, finding things from the past. And I thought, I would read it, and I had no idea what it said. And basically, it's just, would I rather be a bird or a fish? Now, like I said, every lunchbox had a different note, and these were not supposed to be seen. They were supposed to be private. All I knew that I wanted to do these lunchboxes until January. So I ended up with 200 of these bags. Up to a month before the show, I decided that I wanted people to actually open the bags. Now, this was quite brave, actually, I have to say, because I felt like that added another dimension to the exhibition. It added a more immersive quality where people could be more involved, and it also added to the sense that I would be revealed. I would be it was almost self-destructive for people to see my innermost feelings, my innermost fears, just laying myself naked. So I had made a platform and a wall and a bulletin board. So I invited people, the visitors, to come in and choose a bag, open it, take out the note, take out whatever was inside, and pin it to the board. Now, this was important because I felt like I was involving people, not in taking pleasure in my pain, but in joining my pain. And a lot of people took these bags very, very personally. People were choosing their birthdays, and so they would put things up on the wall. Some people were actually drawing on my drawings, and I didn't know any of this going on. I just saw it in photographs later. And let me just share. I, I was so worried I'd forget that I have screen sharing and I have a slideshow, which, so this is the exhibition. I don't know if anyone of you has been to this one, Heart and the Gutting. And the reason I wrote the gutting was my bags were being eviscerated. I was feeling eviscerated. And it was a very painful time that I was going through. And it was something that I felt, it wasn't cathartic. I just felt it was necessary to share it with others. It was a one-night exhibition only. There was no way I could do it for more than one night. And if you look at the picture, you see that's my dad up there. And it's very regimented. Everything was chronologically put. And then at the end, if you look at the bottom right corner, that's me at the end of the show. And you see like everything is completely all over the place. And for someone like me who has a bit of OCD, I was like, ah. But anyway, that was the nature of that show. Now, the second exhibition I want to talk about is, let's see, is my yellow tape portraits. Now, this happened post-divorce. I was divorced in 2008, and I was living with my parents. And this was a result of being betrayed by someone who I felt was the person who was supposed to love me unconditionally, be my rock, be my cushion, and they weren't. They were the opposite. They left me a horrible message on a yellow cassette that was very vitriolic and very hurtful. And I felt like I needed to cope with this pain that I felt. I needed to be protected by these women that I created. So I created these paintings, again, at the Sultan Gallery. These women that were stoic and would protect me and be that cushion and that rock that I needed. So you see them here. They're on a white background. It's very simple. Give me a thumbs up if everything is working. Anyone? Good, thank you. I just need a bit of reassurance. So I made 13 of these. They really helped me survive that period. Now the third exhibition is my Hurricane PM. Now this exhibition, this was the second worst time of my life. I was going through physical changes as a woman in her 40s. I was, sorry to be a bit graphic, but bleeding all the time. And it wasn't just menstrual blood, it was female blood that was happening at any time it wished. That was going out of control. I got anxiety, I got insomnia, I was going through depression, and I became incapacitated. I couldn't even work at the time. And bit by bit, I started to get better. I went to therapy, acupuncture. Friends were amazing. Was prescribed sleeping pills that got me on a sleeping schedule. So really, that it was 1 year. Somehow it just worked in my favor in terms of being such a neat date, October to October. It just really worked. So this exhibition at the Dar al-Funun Gallery was comprised of 3 different elements. It was paintings and a knit tapestry and a video. So here you can see the knit tapestry. This is my actual bed. And I had a fear of beds. I couldn't even sleep in my bed anymore. I would sleep on the couch. It was the only place that I could sleep. And even then, you wouldn't even call it sleep. It was in and out of some sort of state of consciousness. This painting just illustrates it just shows the acupuncture. They're quite basic. They're quite straightforward. Going through the acupuncture, the thread or coming out of her ear, my ear was blocked. Just everything that could go wrong with me was wrong in this 1 year. This is the knit tapestry that I was creating. It took a big part of my life and my home. Bleeding. So here I used it to bisect the gallery. So you have, it was also sort of an inside joke for me because it was covering a painting of two naked women embracing. And I figured I would censor the painting with something that should be censored itself. I was patting myself on the back for that. It's like, oh, very funny. So, so that was that. Now I want to take you to a video I created for this exhibition. This was the third element of that exhibition. Just to end it sort of on a note of hope, this video encapsulates everything that I went through, from the lows to the highs. All right, so that was the video. Hold on. Okay, so going back to this. Now, it wasn't all doom and gloom. There are some higher, points in my life where when I am going through a great time in my life, my work becomes very much a narratives, about narratives and storytelling. But I also I would be remiss to give this talk without introducing to you my polyhedrons. So these I started creating in 2015. Now, at the time, I had not just ended, but it was one of those things where, is it over, is it not over? Basically, if there was an end to a love story that I was going through, and it was a horrible end. It just wasn't ending right. And it left a huge void in my heart and my chest, and just a huge cavity. And so I figured, I wanted to distract myself and do something a little different. So I was looking up modular origami, and I found this wonderful little website, and I learned to do these origamis, and I thought, well, those are really cute, and they look pretty, and they're different than everything else that I've done. It's a new medium. Let's see where it goes. And I was thinking, it's a nice little thing, I'll get over it soon. Obviously, I did not. I ended up with about 600 of these polyhedrons, and I'm still making them. So it became almost my life's mission to create these polyhedrons until I found love. So the word "until" became such a huge thing in my vocabulary. Until you find love. There's always an until you get a home, until something. There's always an until. And so I found that these polyhedrons gave me so much pleasure. I never had a pet, but these became sort of my playthings, my playmates. And every now and then I would take them out and I would play with them and photograph with them. And it was so therapeutic, not only to create them, but also to bring them out of their boxes and put them back in their boxes and number them. And they became a prayer for me, a hope to find, a hope for this person to come in, sort of sending out this hope to the universe that, hey, I'm here, where are you, come to me. And soon they became like this sort of infestation, and they entered into my paintings. And for 5 years now, they've become such a big part of my life. And they don't just bring me pleasure, they bring others pleasure. In my living room. Now this, I actually exhibited them at my exhibition in CAP in 2017. This gallery was curated by my friend Dima René. And initially, people weren't supposed to touch these. It was supposed to be a dynamic exhibition, but people started touching, and I had this triage area for, you know, every night I would go to the gallery and have to fix all these polyhedrons that were being, you know, touched and broken and come apart. And so I had to put up a sticker that said, if you really want to play with these, just do it with love and care. So this particular picture is very special to me, and I am still so in love with it. We left a bunch of kids in there, and when we went in, we saw this pattern. It was just incredible. And for me, I love children. I get along really well with kids. And to see how it's just so instinctive. Like they're the best artists, aren't they? Like they just have no inhibitions, and they just do what they do. But it's so sophisticated. And so this is it. I love it. Now, even apart, now these are the polyhedrons when they're taken apart. Even in that sense, even when they're in that condition, they're so wonderful to touch and to play with. They're like an accordion. And I love moving the colors around and all that fun stuff. I feel really lucky that I can do that. Let's see. Okay, so now I want to show you another fun video. Sorry. How do I do this? Okay. How did it help? All right. Okay.
On veut faire de moi ce que je suis pas. Mais je poursuis ma route, je me perdrai pas, c'est comme ça. Vouloir à tout prix me changer. Et au fil du temps, monter ma liberté. Heureusement, j'ai pu faire autrement. J'ai choisi d'être moi, tout simplement. Je suis comme si, et ça me va. Vous ne me changerez pas, je suis comme ça, et c'est tant pis.
All right, that was that. Hello. So now what I want to talk about lastly is it's weird because it's not really, it's my upcoming exhibition, but it's also one that was scheduled for March. But we had to postpone it because of COVID. Thank you very much. Now, this exhibition, I need to share again, if you don't mind, but I'll do it myself.
Yeah,
I'll do it myself. So this exhibition was going to be one of the fun exhibitions because I'm in a good place in my life right now. And so it was going to be about fashion because Rami, I love fashion. I love fashion. I love the structure of clothes. I love lightness. I love fun. When it's a movie, I love rom-coms. I love lightness because there's darkness. I like to counterbalance it with the light. So this was going to be like a really fun exhibition. But of course, it started to get a more socially aware, and calling it outfit. I called it outfit, and God, I get so distracted with all this. So I called it outfit because I wanted it to be a melding of two words, outsider and misfit, both of which I feel very strongly that I am. I've lived here since '92, but I just can't seem to get into, I mean, I'm in society, I'm fine. I have friends. I'm not completely like, I'm not a complete outsider, but I get that sense, and sometimes stronger than others. But there was also the sense of, it's fun, it's going to be a fun show. It was going to be sort of a farewell to my characters, my figures, because I wanted to foray more into abstract work. And that was starting to come out in not just the faces of my women, but also the clothes, also the backgrounds. You start to see that. So when we decided that we would close, we had no choice. We would close the show, and then reschedule it for September. I felt like it just felt irrelevant. It's like, okay, why, how do I, none of us are going to be the same people. We're all changing. How is this work going to be relevant after all this time that's passed? And if I have it in September, I don't know. So I left it. For the first time, here I was with all this work, because usually I'm working till the last day. But I had all this time, and then the quarantine, it was like all of a sudden I had all this time and all this emptiness in my head, like there was nothing. So I sort of kept it, and I kept working. I had a lot of stretched canvases, lots of paint, thankfully. And I started painting and experimenting more with abstraction. Sorry, I have to go back because I forgot, to talk about the clothes of these women, and how it went from being a light exhibition to being something more of a social commentary, and how clothes are, how we cover our bodies is obviously such a big part of who we are. But I also see that on one side of the spectrum, you have clothes acting as these agents of being an individual. Or on the other side of the spectrum, you have clothes that can make you part of a pack, or, a pack of wolves, where everyone on the outside looks the same, but you can tell who the alpha female is, or, the personalities that decipher who you are. And then you have no clothes at all. Now, no clothes at all is like completely, you're stripped, you're denuded of anything but who you are. And sometimes I wish we'd all walk around naked just so we know, who's who and what's what. And I mean, that's not gonna happen over here, I'll tell you. So I started working with more abstract, using more just very raw emotion. There's no control. There is some control in some places. Just many of my paintings start off this way, but I always cover them. Ironically, and this is just coming up now, ironically, I always cover them. I cover them with the more controlled me, but now you're seeing more of a raw me that is under all of that final very sort of clean sheen, So I thought, if I have this exhibition in September or whenever it happens, again, it's not going to be the same exhibition. It can't be. It can't be. So I thought, first of all, I can just have these paintings infiltrate the other paintings. And just like the virus that we have, these are going to infect my show. So it's pre-COVID Ghadah, it's post-COVID Ghadah, all meshed into one. So this one I really love. I love red, Donna, I love red. And I'm so proud of myself, because it doesn't matter if, this is all new to me, and it doesn't matter if it's a good painting, if it isn't. But for me, this is me. You guys, if you take a journey inside my body, this is what it is right there. So I thought, put the two together side by side. It's fine. It's a fine idea, but it's not a great idea. So, oh, that's the last one. I could get out of here now. So I was working, all right. So I was working on this little one here. Oh, there it is. Can you see that? I can't see myself. I'm like a small square on the top, so I don't know where everything is. So I was working on this painting, and it wasn't really doing anything for me. It's like the size is too small. And so I was like, that looks like a toilet. It just wasn't doing it for me. I felt like it needed more. It needed to do something. And I had what I felt was a eureka moment. Oh, is someone on there? I had what I felt was like a eureka moment. And when I say eureka moment, I mean a moment that is like divine intervention, where I'm not even thinking about anything. Oh, hello. You know, I'm not even thinking about anything. And then I just do. I just get up and I go. So what I did was, Khalid, yeah. Sorry, my son is helping out. Well, actually, I think I can. You good? There. So I figured, can you see that? That I would take this and cover her face like this. And for me, that came full circle. And that was the puzzle that I needed to make it relevant for post-COVID, anytime I have an exhibition. And although we're talking about covering the body, now it's about covering the face, because who isn't covering their face these days? So there's a, you know, historically, we've been covering our faces for so many reasons. We've been covering them to protect ourselves. Armor, when you have, you know, on a motorcycle, you cover your face figuratively when you're feeling shame or guilt. We cover our face to disguise ourselves. For so many reasons, we cover our faces. And this to me made sense. I'm not going to cover all their faces, but just the ones that I feel whose faces need to be covered. And thank you very much. Thanks for coming, and it's been great. And thank you for bearing with me.
So
a question, actually, because, you know, to connect me with piety is a bit, I'm very interested to know why. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the way I paint and I draw, and it's funny, the word icon itself, you know, I always felt my paintings do actually look like the the painting style is quite iconic. But in terms of the piety, I used to actually be very religious, not spiritual. I had a relationship with God. Like, I felt there was a communication. And I think that's why for me now, I'm missing that a lot, because I feel like I've lost it, but I want to find it again. You know, I do want to find it. And a lot of my work is aspirational for me. It's, what do I want? What do I want to open myself to? And how do I attract goodness through the work? And atonement. I guess there's a lot of atonement in there. You know, the first one, Heart in the Gutting, was a way, because I'm the one who caused the break in the family. How do I, again, reconcile with that? How do I, a lot of why I work and why I create is to form human connections. And so I guess that comes out as also being spiritual as well. I don't know if I've answered your question, just let me know. I mean, it's a discussion, isn't it? You know. Well, thanks for coming along on the ride. Thank you. There's a huge separation, Nadia. It's a very, for me, I always say Ghadah Alkandari is the Donna Karen. PGB is the DKNY. You know, it's the more accessible. It's, you know, especially with the advent of Instagram, I was able to reach a far wider audience. It wasn't so exclusive to just the art world. So there's a huge difference. Now, your first question was, how does the art affect my life? One thing, and I was thinking about this, and you know, when I do these talks, I'm always rehearsing the talks, but they come out different every single time I rehearse them. So one of the times that I gave this talk to myself, I was speaking about how I feel that if I weren't an artist, you know, I feel a bit like an outsider. I don't drive the car that people drive. I don't go to the restaurants that people go to. I don't follow anything. I'm just me, you know, whatever that is. I don't read the books that people are reading. I haven't watched Game of Thrones. I'm waiting for that to be like, there's like a 20-year maybe statute of limitations. I'll watch it then. So I feel like an outsider, and I feel in a way that if I weren't an artist, I wouldn't be accepted at all into society because I don't really fit in. I don't. And if I'm going to be honest. So I think being an artist has helped sort of cement my spot in Kuwaiti society. In a way, I'm lucky that I can. Otherwise, I think I would just hole myself in the house and not go out at all. But in terms of works of art, there's so many. I do have favorites, but and they're usually the ones that they're not other people's favorites. I can answer that. I can tell you that. But as far as like, I'm going to pinpoint one, like even if I say one, how are you going to know which one it is? You know, I do have favorites. No, there's just something natural that there's a point where I'm painting it and I'm like, I really love this one. I don't know what it is. And I guess a lot of the ones I showed you today are the ones that I really like. Okay, so the honesty, I feel like if you're not honest, what's the point? You know, I don't have the brain capacity to be dishonest. Like it's too complicated. Honesty is the simplest thing. And I'm not saying that I'm completely open. I do have my secrets, but I find that I'm going to get what I want if I'm honest. If I'm not honest, then the whole thing is a facade and a charade. Then what's the point, you know? And plus, I'm very expressive. You know this. Sometimes it's TMI with me. So thanks. Um, okay, can I answer the second one first? The affordable bit, I do get that. I do understand. And I can't undervalue my work, and it's very difficult to price your work, especially when we don't have an authoritative figure or association or anything of the sort to police that. So basically we can price our own works. But I do have, I am trying to sort of venture into more, for example, apparel like t-shirts or my pajamas that are somewhere in customs. I don't know where they are now because of COVID. But I also have some smaller drawings. I don't know, what does Mohammed want? Like, Mohammed, do you want a discount? I don't do discounts. I just don't. I don't believe in that. You know, it's whatever it's worth. So but I understand that is a question that people do ask, and I think it's our job as artists and people in this field to explain to others why the prices are the way they are. And then the first question was the art scene in Kuwait. I'm not the right person to answer any questions about the market itself. I'll leave that to my agent. No, I work with Darren. She doesn't have a gallery, but she does. She sells my work. She's my agent here, and I sell it through her. But if it's part of an exhibition, it's the gallery that you can contact. But now, since my work's in limbo, you can contact me about this recent exhibition, this floating exhibition that I don't know when or what or where. You know, I was even thinking about a drive-through exhibition. Like, what if I have a drive-through exhibition? You know, this is when your mind starts to go a little creative. I just need a huge like parking lot, and it's very much a car culture here. People are in their cars a lot. So, you know, you have your own music on, you drive through, you're looking at the paintings. Everything is doable. To drive people crazy and make them work for me like I did with Ghadah. And actually, one of the things I made for the exhibition were these kiss blockers. And I have it somewhere here, but unpacking everything from my shelves, I think I put everything on top of that. Basically, it's something that covers your face so that you're not, you know, this was before the masks, we started wearing masks. So I think we have to just start being really careful. And I think right now we've adapted enough to know that we shouldn't be getting close to people. There's always anger. There's always you know, there's always that. And like I said, a lot of my paintings are that underneath because there's layers. They start off like that. And now with Instagram, sometimes I'll post something and I'll say, you know, it's a work in progress, but people love it that way. But I ignore people. I don't listen to people. I only listen to myself. This time it felt right. And I said I would never do abstract. I would never do this until it felt right to me. And somehow the way I was in quarantine for 2 months, I didn't see anyone, not my kids, no one, to the point where I told my mom, can you send over the cat? Like just here, she just jumped into one of the boxes. Can you send over the cat? You know, I was going crazy. I was going nuts in my own head. And this is someone who likes to be alone. And I think that affected me a lot. I wanted to avoid faces. I didn't want to do faces anymore. And faces have a tendency to betray certain emotions. But this, when you forego the face, you get rid of the face, it's just pure energy. And even when I'm working on the bigger ones, I'm dancing. I'm all over the painting, you know? It's very much, it reminds me of the expressionist abstract, yeah, you can pick her up. The abstract, sorry, she just jumped out. We had a little mishap with a cat here. So I went to this abstract impressionist exhibition in London a few years ago. I can't remember what it was called, but I felt like I created those paintings, that I got it. But again, I didn't want to do that because I just been to this exhibition. I knew that it would come naturally. I knew that I would evolve or devolve or whatever. It is a deconstruction, and you start to see it if you put my work on a timeline. You start to see it in the faces, in the actual way I color the faces, and you start to see the shapes and the non-shapes. The non-shapes are important too, because as an artist, for me, as a painter and someone who draws, you tend to fall into habits, and you have to not, you know. It's hard to unlearn. It's hard to unlearn something. It's hard to push away from what you know. And this is how I've been treating the canvases. And I've been having so much fun, so much fun. I'm not really confident with the comics yet, but the Tinder soliloquies, I've always loved comic books. As Dana said, you know, I was very influenced. I have a lot of opinions that I feel like, because I'm this respected artist, I don't want to hurt anyone. And my opinions can be quite hurtful, and they're private. But if I had someone who I can channel these opinions through, then I could do it through Lara, with 2 H's at the end of her name, because I have the H at the end of my name. People always forget to include that. So when I did Lara with not just 1 H, but 2 H's. And I take a lot from my experiences in life and from Facebook updates. And so, yeah, that's just sort of my little baby at the moment. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't even mention that. That is a total lockdown thing. Like, if I did anything new during, you know, people are learning languages, I'm learning how to create something funny. I think they're funny. It's my opinion that they are funny comics. I consider myself very lucky. I don't take what I have or what I do for granted. I'm thankful for it every day that I can do that. I can't imagine not having it. I've neglected the blog because Instagram does the job. And you get likes on Instagram. I wasn't getting likes on my blog. With Instagram, it's so immediate, and it spreads out. With the blog, it was a very few people, but I did meet some people through the blog. And I still have the blog, and I really should I really should take care of my blog. And the blog is more thorough, it's more comprehensive in terms of what I have to say and behind the scenes and all of that. But for that now we've got Instagram stories. I don't know, Instagram's taken over for me. And I love Instagram, you know, I really love it. I mean, people got to know me. My family, my extended family got to know me through Instagram. They didn't know who I was. And I think they accept a lot about me when they see me creating these little worlds. These are my worlds. They're honest. There's not, I don't like fake, you know, whatever you see, that is me. It could be the Instagram me, but it's still me, you know? So yeah.